The lights dimmed, smoke lingered in the air, and then the entire hall seemed to hold its breath as a slender figure stepped onto the runway. Candice Swanepoel, the golden angel of Victoria's Secret, appeared like a dream brought to life. Her piercing blue eyes, golden hair cascading in waves, and a smile that was both innocent and seductive made it seem as though she had been born to shine. Yet behind the dazzling glow lay a different truth. A journey filled with hardships, temptations, and shadows that few could ever imagine. Born in South Africa, Candice was not raised amidst luxury or the glitter of fashion capitals. She was once a shy, fragile girl, worlds apart from the goddess-like figure she later became on stage. This sharp contrast only made her story more extraordinary. From a humble farming town to the grandest catwalks of the world, Candice did not simply represent a fairy tale of success. She became a symbol of sacrifice, a reminder of the price that fame and beauty can exact. Her story carries both light and darkness, echoing the timeless struggles of 90-second supermodels who walked the fine line between glory and despair. Candice Swanepoel's life unfolds like a film, radiant and mesmerizing, yet haunted by the inevitable dark side of fashion. Candice Susan Swanepoel was born on the 20th of October, 1988, in Mooi River, a small town in KwaZulu-Natal, South Africa. It was a peaceful land, surrounded by endless green fields and dairy farms, where life moved at such a slow pace that few could have imagined it would give birth to one of the world's most famous supermodels. Her family was far from wealthy. Her father, Willem, and mother, Eileen, were both tied to the rhythms of farm life. They raised Candice with simplicity, humility, and discipline, values deeply rooted in South African culture. From a young age, Candice stood out. She had golden hair, striking blue eyes, and delicate features, but she was painfully thin compared to other children her age. While others ran and played freely, Candice often appeared shy, withdrawn, as if she were holding back a hidden energy waiting to be unleashed. Her childhood was intertwined with dirt roads, grazing cattle, and days spent roaming the countryside. She later recalled that she always felt like a small bird yearning for a bigger sky. Mooi River gave her safety, but it also planted a restless desire for something beyond its tranquil borders. Growing up in South Africa was not easy. The country still carried heavy prejudices tied to appearance, race, and geography. For a girl from a remote town, breaking into the global fashion industry seemed impossible. Even with her hypnotic eyes and sharp features, many saw her beauty as unusual, not easily fitting the conventional mold. As a teenager, Candice attended St. Anne's College, where her intelligence and independence became more apparent. Yet she still felt she didn't truly belong. Fashion magazines and glimpses of the world beyond South Africa both terrified and thrilled her. She once wrote in her diary, "I don't know why, but I am certain I was not born only to live in Mooi River." To her parents, Candice was gentle and obedient, though perhaps too dreamy for her own good. Willem worried about her frail frame and whether she would survive the harshness of life. But this fragility would later transform into her greatest weapon, making her unforgettable on international runways. What made Candice's upbringing unique was its paradox. On one hand, she had strong roots grounded in family and rural life. On the other, she carried an unquenchable desire to escape those very limits. This tension gave her story depth and texture. It was not the glamorous origin of a star, but a foundation built on contrast, simplicity versus ambition, safety versus risk. It is this inner contradiction that would prepare Candice for an extraordinary journey ahead. From the fields of Mooi River to the blinding spotlights of New York and Paris, she would one day embody both sides of the modeling dream. The dazzling triumphs celebrated by fans of 90-second supermodels, and the haunting truths whispered in the shadows of the dark side of fashion. Candice Swanepoel's chance came when she was only 15 years old, an age when most girls were still preoccupied with schoolwork and teenage dreams. One day, At an outdoor market in Durban, the nearest big city to Mooi River, Candice was shopping with her mother when fate intervened. In the middle of the noisy crowd, a stranger's gaze fixed on her. He was a model scout who immediately recognized something rare in the fragile girl before him. Candice remembered that moment vividly. When the man approached, handed her a business card, and spoke of a chance to change your life, her heart pounded so hard it felt as if it might burst. Part of her longed to believe, part of her trembled with fear. She was just a farm girl who had never imagined standing in front of a camera, and suddenly the world was offering her a doorway into the unknown. At first, her parents hesitated. Willem worried his daughter would be swallowed by a dangerous world where innocence was easily broken. Eileen was cautious too, but she saw the spark in Candice's eyes and realized this was not something that could be ignored. After many sleepless nights, they reluctantly agreed, with one condition: Candice must always hold on to her integrity. Her first photo shoots were humble, taken in small South African studios with minimal lighting. At her very first session, she had no idea where to place her hands or how to smile. Yet the photographer saw something remarkable, an instinctive magnetism in her gaze, the kind of raw allure that could not be taught. Within months, Candice's face began appearing in local magazines, and the modeling community in South Africa took notice. But the path was not lined with roses. People in her hometown mocked her, calling her delusional, chasing a foolish dream. They could not imagine a girl from a farming town stepping onto international runways. Even within South Africa, the modeling industry was small and underdeveloped, but Candice pressed forward. Each time she stood before the lens, she reminded herself, "This is only the beginning. I have to go further." At 16, she received her first contract in Europe. Leaving South Africa for Milan and then Paris was both a dream come true and a shock to her system. The girl who had once known only pastures and classrooms suddenly found herself surrounded by hotels, casting calls, and cutthroat competition, where hundreds of girls fought for a single opportunity. Candice cried often. She would sit alone in her tiny rented flat, overwhelmed by loneliness, aching for the smell of fresh grass and the sound of morning birds back home. Yet each morning she looked in the mirror and whispered, "If I've come this far, I cannot turn back." Step by step, she began to draw attention. Casting directors noticed her unique blend of sweetness and sharpness, an aura that set her apart. She wasn't just another pretty face, she was a story waiting to be told. The spark that had caught the scout's eye now began to glow brighter. This was the opening chapter of her transformation, from a shy farm girl to an international star. It was also the moment she unknowingly joined the legacy of 90s Supermodels, women who had once been discovered by chance but reshaped fashion history. And just like them, Candice too would soon learn that alongside dreams came the inevitable pull of the dark side of fashion. When Candice Swanepoel first arrived in Milan, Paris, and later New York, she was just another face among thousands of aspiring young models. Yet in only a few short years, she transformed into a global phenomenon. In 2007, Candice signed a contract with Victoria's Secret, a fateful turning point that catapulted her name beyond fashion circles into mainstream culture. Her debut at the Victoria's Secret fashion show was explosive. With her slender figure, endless legs, and a face that balanced innocence with sensuality, Candice was instantly christened the Golden Angel. Every step she took carried an irresistible magnetism, piercing blue eyes, a soft yet knowing smile, and a confidence that made it seem she had been born for the spotlight. Soon, her influence extended far beyond the Victoria's Secret runway. Luxury houses clamored for her presence. She walked for Givenchy, Dolce & Gabbana, Fendi, and Tom Ford. Her face adorned the covers of Vogue, Harper's Bazaar, and Elle. Under the lenses of legendary photographers like Mario Testino and Patrick de Marchelier, Candice's image became iconic. She wasn't simply a model. She was redefining sensuality itself, fragile yet strong, alluring yet pure, a paradox that fascinated the world. One of the brightest milestones in her career came in 2013, when she was chosen to wear the Royal Fantasy bra valued at $10 million during the Victoria's Secret show. It was a privilege reserved only for the most powerful angels, such as Tyra Banks, Gisele Bündchen, and Adriana Lima. The moment Candice appeared in a lingerie set encrusted with diamonds and precious stones, the world seemed to stop. The press declared her the perfect angel of a new generation. But Candice's brilliance was not limited to her beauty. Designers admired her professionalism, humility, and iron discipline. Despite grueling schedules and constant travel between fashion capitals, she never allowed exhaustion to dull her shine. On the runway, she walked as though it might be her last show, pouring her heart into every movement. The international press labeled her the icon of the new angel era, destined to inherit the legacy of Heidi Klum and Alessandra Ambrosio. For fans, Candice became the South African dream personified, proof that even from a small, forgotten town, one could ascend to global stardom. Her peak years also made her one of the highest-paid models in the world, securing her a spot on Forbes' annual list of top-earning models. She wasn't just a Victoria's Secret angel. She embodied the aspirations of a generation of young women entering fashion. From a frail girl in Mooi River to the most luminous presence on the world's runways, Candice had become the golden angel, radiating triumph and pride. Her rise resonated with the legendary narratives of 90s Supermodels, who had once defined glamour for the world. Yet beneath the glory, whispers of the dark side of fashion followed her ascent. For every shimmering spotlight, there lingered shadows waiting to test her strength. What made Candice Swanepoel truly different was not just her mesmerizing blue eyes or flawless body. It was her attitude toward life, and her refusal to be confined by the harsh molds of the fashion industry. While many of her peers chased dramatic notions of sensuality, Candice maintained a strange equilibrium. On the runway, she embraced the most daring lingerie and costumes. But offstage, she lived quietly, avoiding the wild parties, scandalous romances, and tabloid drama that often surrounded the modeling world. "I want the light to come only from my work," she once said, "not from the noise outside of it." She also declined numerous offers to pose completely nude. For Candice, seduction had to coexist with elegance. Her refusal sometimes cost her opportunities, but she stood firm. Attention gained at the price of self-respect was not worth having. At first, some editors labeled her too restrictive. Yet in time, it became clear this was precisely what made her irreplaceable. She had created her own brand of allure, one that carried restraint and dignity. Her South African roots also shaped her outlook. Growing up in a land marked by racial tension, Candice understood the importance of diversity. She openly voiced her wish for more women of color and more non-traditional body types to be represented on runways. "Beauty does not live in a single mold," she said. "It comes from confidence from one's unique identity." For Candice, modeling was never the end goal. Catwalks and magazine covers were steps along a larger path. She used her fame to support humanitarian causes, especially those helping children and underprivileged communities in South Africa. "If my career is only about the flash of cameras, then it will be empty," she told an interviewer. "I want it to mean more than that." At the same time, she battled against the industry's obsession with perfection. Fashion's demands could be brutal: weigh-ins, strict diets, relentless critiques. Candice admitted she was pressured to maintain an almost impossible standard, but she resisted surrendering entirely. "This body is mine," she declared, "not a brand's property." Her words inspired younger models to reclaim their autonomy, to believe they were more than just clothes hangers. This balance between boldness and restraint, glamour and groundedness, became Candice's signature. She proved that a model could command the world stage without selling her soul. It was not just her beauty that earned admiration, but her integrity. In this sense, Candice's story echoed the legacy of the 90-second supermodels, many of whom also stood for individuality and power in an industry eager to flatten them into stereotypes. Yet her defiance also reminded the world of the dark side of fashion, where temptation, pressure, and exploitation constantly lurked. Her strength was not only in dazzling millions, but in resisting what millions never saw. Candice Swanepoel became more than a fashion figure. She was a lesson in choice, the courage to refuse, the courage to stand apart, and the courage to preserve humanity in a world that often demanded its erasure. And that is why her presence lingers as one of the most unforgettable icons of modern fashion. Even at the peak of her career, Candice Swanepoel could not escape the cracks that inevitably run through the fashion industry. Behind the glittering costumes and radiant smile, she faced struggles that could have broken anyone. In 2016, Candice became a mother for the first time. Fans celebrated the news, but motherhood presented her with an unrelenting challenge, returning to a perfect body in order to continue working. The pressure from both the public and the fashion system was immense. Tabloids scrutinized her every appearance, cruelly commenting on her figure. One headline even declared, "The angel is no longer perfect." Words like these cut deeply into a woman still navigating the vulnerable months after childbirth. Candice later admitted there were days she wished she could disappear. The demand to uphold her image as a supermodel while juggling motherhood left her exhausted and, at times, depressed. "People forget that we are human too," she confessed in a heartfelt interview. "We have fragile moments. We need time to heal." The physical toll was just as punishing. Years of rigorous training and travel left her with injuries, including a back problem that forced her to step away from shows temporarily. Yet the deepest wound was psychological. In an industry where every gram of weight seemed to matter, Candice wrestled with body image struggles. She pushed herself into extreme diets and punishing workouts, only to find her health deteriorating. For a time, Candice nearly vanished from the global stage. Fans began to speculate, and media outlets asked the same question: where is Candice Swanepoel? Rumors swirled. Some claimed she was tired of the industry, others whispered of relationship troubles. Candice remained silent. On Instagram, she posted only serene pictures of herself with her child, far removed from the glitz of Fashion Week. Her retreat was both shocking and illuminating. It reminded the world that beneath the dazzling facade, supermodels carry invisible burdens. Some people criticized her withdrawal, but many more felt empathy. In her silence, they saw their own vulnerabilities reflected. The universal struggle of trying to balance identity, ambition, and humanity. Candice eventually broke that silence. "I have not disappeared," she wrote. "I am simply finding myself again." The statement revealed a truth hidden behind decades of runway glamour. Even angels must pause to mend their wings. Her journey resonated with the legendary cautionary tales of the 90-second supermodels, many of whom also faced breakdowns and public scrutiny after years of pressure. In Candice's struggles, the world glimpsed the enduring dark side of fashion, the side that demands perfection while devouring those who provide it. The very industry that once crowned her as its golden angel was also the force that pushed her to the edge. Yet through her trials, Candice reminded us that vulnerability is not weakness. To step away, to say no, to choose family and self-care over relentless applause, that was her quiet act of defiance. In disappearing, she became even more human. And in becoming human, she proved that even angels are not untouchable. Candice Swanepoel has never officially announced her retirement from modeling, but her journey has already left an indelible mark. For many, she is not just one of the brightest faces of Victoria's Secret, but a symbol of an era when angels bewitched the entire world. Her greatest legacy lies in the way she balanced light and shadow. Candice proved that models are not just bodies displayed under spotlights, but real human beings with emotions, ambitions, and scars. She inspired younger generations to protect their individuality, to refuse suffocating molds, and to seek balance between career and life. Today, when people look back, they still call her the Golden Angel. Not only because of the glittering wings she once wore, but because of the resilience and honesty she carried. She embodied a paradox that continues to define fashion: the dazzling beauty and the pain hidden beneath it. In her story, echoes of the 90s Supermodels remain. Women who became icons, not simply because of their beauty, but because they dared to be more than the industry's expectations. At the same time, Candice's struggles remind us of the dark side of fashion, a world that glamorizes perfection but often forgets the human heart behind it. And perhaps the most haunting question is this: if Candice Swanepoel were to step into the industry today, in a world so different from the one she once conquered, would she still shine as brightly?